Have you ever considered the question the prophet poses in Isaiah 64:10-12, where he asks God, "Your holy cities have become a wilderness, Zion has become a wilderness, Jerusalem a desolation. Our holy and beautiful house, where our fathers praised you, has been burned by fire, and all our pleasant places have become ruins. After all this, will you restrain yourself, O God?" This question, cleverly crafted, has an element of provocation. Rather than directly stating the people's losses, it points to God's losses. His city has become a waste, his temple burned by fire, his beautiful lands all desolate. From the prophet's perspective, the people of Israel relying on their righteousness to call on God for salvation is a futile effort. Hence, in verse 5, he questions, "You meet those who joyfully work righteousness, those who remember you in your ways. But you were angry, and we sinned. In our sins we have been a long time, and shall we be saved?" If you continue reading into the 66th chapter, you'll find God's response, "Heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What is the house that you would build for me, and what is the place of my rest? All these things my hand has made, and so all these things came to be. But this is the one to whom I will look, he who is humble and contrite in spirit and trembles at my word." Isaiah 66:1-2. Apparently, all the material possessions are trivial in the eyes of God. It's amusing to think that before believing in the Lord, many of us may have thought that God lived in a church. Then, after reading the Bible, we might have believed God initially lived in a tabernacle, and as the nation of Israel grew stronger, God moved into the temple. But when we reach the 66th chapter of Isaiah, what does God say about himself? He states that the entire sky is merely his seat, and the earth is just a footstool in his house. What kind of house can you, humans in your frailty, build for him to dwell in? This makes sense. If God is omnipotent, the creator of all, would he need to live in a house built by humans? No wonder Apostle Paul said, "The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man." Acts 17:24. Perhaps many haven't seriously pondered the question, where does God dwell? But if you don't know where he is, how can you worship him? Looking at the Old Testament, God says, "I will dwell among the people of Israel and will be their God." Exodus 29:45. This isn't about dwelling in a temple, but among people. So what does it mean to dwell among people? Whoever keeps his commandments abides in God, and God in him. 1 John 3:24. It also states, "Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you?" 1 Corinthians 3:16. Jesus himself testified to this. Remember when he met the Samaritan woman and said, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father." John 4:21. The hour is coming and is now here when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father is seeking such people to worship him. John 4:23. In conclusion, God doesn't dwell in man-made temples or houses. He resides in the hearts of those who keep his commandments, in those who worship him in spirit and truth. This is the essence of the verses from Isaiah 64 and the overall message they convey.